जिंदगी एंड वेलकम टू येट अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ ह्यूमन कनेक्शन। और आज मैं जिसको लेकर आई हूँ उनको आपने एक्चुअली सुना होगा रेडियो जिंदगी पे और देखा भी होगा क्योंकि वो इतनी अमेजिंग होम्योपैथी की टिप्स आपको देती है। सो आई हैव विथ मी रिनी जोहर हु इज होम्योपैथिक कंसल्टेंट। 20 साल से वो प्रैक्टिस कर रही है होम्योपैथी। लेकिन आज मैं जिस के लिए उनको लेकर आई ह्यूमन कनेक्शन पे वो एक अलग टॉपिक है। कोई होम्योपैथी के बारे में बात नहीं करने वाली हूँ। बात करने वाले को ऐसे टॉपिक के बारे में जो काफी लोग सिर्फ बात करते हैं और समझते हैं इस परेशानी को, पर इसका सोल्यूशन नहीं दे पाते हैं। सो इमेजिन करिए देयर आर लॉट ऑफ वुमेन जो इंडिया से यहाँ आती हैं, यूएस डिपेंडेंट वीजा पे आती हैं यहाँ पर, और जब डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस का शिकार हो जाती हैं कई बार उनको समझ नहीं आता हम कहाँ जाएं। वापस इंडिया जाएं, सब कुछ छोड़ दें जो उन्होंने यहाँ एस्टैब्लिश किया है वो यहीं की यहीं छोड़ के वापस से एक नई लाइफ शुरू करें। इट इज अ डिफिकल्ट वे आउट एंड आई थिंक ये क्वेश्चन शायद रेनी ने सोचा होगा and that's why she came up with Disha Darshan. She is the founder of Disha Darshan जो ऐसी औरतों को ही नहीं लेकिन दूसरे लोगों को भी मदद करती हैं to fight domestic violence. I want to know more about Disha Darshan. अगर आप किसी को जानते हैं जो domestic violence का शिकार है, कोई भी हो, आप definitely उन्हें contact कर सकते हैं. So let's welcome her on the show and let's ask more about this amazing cause she has taken up. Hi Rini, कैसी हैं आप?
बहुत अच्छी हूँ ईशा, how are you?
I'm absolutely fine. So glad to have you here.
Thank
And
you.
I was just thinking, आपके पास already कितना established career है.
जी.
You're a homeopath. So what made you think about rehabilitating women who are victims to domestic violence?
You know, Isha, this journey actually, I think it started because my mother is a lawyer in India,
Oh,
and then she went on to become a district attorney and also a judge, and now she's retired, but she practices law. And so when I was a little girl, I would always see, my brother, we are two of us, would not be interested कि क्या हो रहा है, but I was always curious कि mom क्या कर रही है, because many times रातों को some women would come knocking at our door asking my mother for help. Okay, and I couldn't understand what help they needed because these were aunties from the rich neighborhood that I lived in, and what would they need from my mother? I had no idea. But I would be hearing behind the door and stuff. And as I grew older, I realized that my mother was doing a great job. She was helping these women who had been thrown out of their homes in India, domestic violence. And it's बहुत चुपी होती है. It's like, let's not talk about it. नहीं बताना है किसी को. But because my mother was a women attorney, she was, a part of the community, and women could and many of them were sent back home. My mother did not break their marriages. Many times she would send them back home. So it somehow started there. And then when it came time for me to decide a profession, it was like, how much marks will I get in my 12th grade? And my mother wanted me to be a lawyer because she said, you talk so much, it's enough. It's good for you as a doctor, be quiet. But I don't know what happened is I got great marks and I wanted to be a doctor all my life. So that's the journey that I chose, and I didn't want to be the lawyer, so I got away from there. And I just thought, okay. And then when I came to the United States, okay, so it was then as a back burner in my life all the time because I could see all the atrocities and things happening to women. But as a doctor, all I could really do is maybe heal them physically, a little bit with homeopathy, emotionally. But I could not find that maintaining cause, what was going on and how to help them. So many times women would come to my clinic, whether it was in India or here, and they just say, oh, I bumped into a table at night, and that's why I have, injuries over my
Yeah,
forehead. They
yeah.
would make up things, and I knew something was wrong there. And then when I got talking to them as a homeopath, my duty is to talk to patients, and I realized that there was something missing in this whole picture. Is being a doctor was good. I was healing them as a homeopath, was helping them, but they go back to that maintaining cause at home and come back more sicker, or sometimes don't even come back because there is someone there who's preventing them from coming back because I'm teaching them their rights. So it began from there, and then I mean, once I was showing them what their rights were, now I didn't know how to help them because I would refer them to my friends who were attorneys and people. But somewhere, you know what, I thought it was a losing battle because attorneys charge a lot of money. There's something not there. So I would go back every year. This is my duty. I go back and so help my parents and my grandparents in India. And when I went back, about a few years ago, I decided, you know what? I'm going to become a lawyer. And my mother looked at me like she says, you can't, are you crazy? Like, no, I want to do that. And so I went and got admission in Symbiosis in India, in Pune. And every year that I would go back, so I was studying on my own, and then I would only go back in time for the exams. So
Okay.
people, didn't really know who I was because they only saw my face during the exams,
Yeah.
and somehow I managed that. Now there was a reason for that. And I started with India because I had a base over there, like I said. I had a home over
Yeah.
here. To go to law school is a big deal and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I did know that once I passed from there, I can easily apply and be a foreign legal consultant in America, and then also give the bar exam here if I needed to. But
Mhm.
that was not my journey. My journey was only to help people, and the reason why is because I met a few girls in India, where I saw that the men, okay, who had legally married them and brought them to the United States, okay, would leave them, take them to India on some pretext, or say it's a custom to go back to India because they didn't like her, and just left her and just would come back to the United States. Now, some girls, their parents fought for it, but they couldn't fight for it because there are 50 different states in America. And in the United States, you can change places
Oh yeah.
and phone numbers as much as you like. They couldn't find the boy, they couldn't find, where he's disappeared, they couldn't find his number. Okay, many of them, obviously, जब शादी हो रही है, people don't ask कि आपका passport की copy दे दो or visa
Right.
की copy दे दो, whatever. No
Yeah.
idea. And sometimes they would get those girls married, and the boys would say that they're engineers and doctors in America and making good money. And those girls left their jobs and came here and realized that he was working at a low job somewhere, whatever. There was a lot of things going on.
Mhm.
So I knew one thing was that I could be this chasm because I go back and forth between here and the United States. So
Mhm.
it first started with my mother having a few cases wherein they couldn't find the boy. So it was like, okay, mom, I'm going back to America. I'm going to find him. Okay.
Mhm.
And I had my ways. Okay. At night after my whole work for the day, after seeing patients, it's like, you know what, this is curious because he shouldn't be allowed to get away because many times those girls were okay with like in India, it's a stigma. You've been married, so you're a divorcee. So
Mhm.
your chances of marrying another good guy is really
Zero.
minuscule. You'll either marry an old man or maybe somebody who's a widower with other children, and many times those guys don't want, and many of those girls were pregnant, they had the kids, and I thought this whole thing was very, very unfair. There was a fire burning within me. It's like, this is not fair. And so it started as I managed to find some of those guys and they were mutually served. Then now it was an effort because there is no memorandum of understanding between India and the United States. So what happens is it's and the worst part of it all is sometimes those guys would marry these girls, right? So these girls would go back with a baby. Now if it's a girl baby, the guys didn't want to have anything to do with them. Okay, great, they said she can bring her up. But if it was a boy baby, now this man wanted that boy and his family wanted the boy. So many times, because the boy was born in the United States, he becomes a United States citizen. So
Yeah.
if that poor girl takes him with her to India, they
Oh.
would charge her with running away with a child, and there are a lot of sections which are very dangerous and stuff. There,
Mm.
I even saw there were times that my mother had been engaged where I remember the police in India snatching that baby from this woman. And I'm like, Mom, can't you do anything about it? My mom said, I'm thinking about it because she didn't know what to do because though she was an excellent lawyer in India, she couldn't help it because the child was a citizen of the United States. And
Mm.
this guy was, so many times I found, and the reason why they would take those children is because they would want this woman to write down and say she didn't want anything from his property, neither in India nor in the United States. So many of them were left without any money. And let me tell you something interesting. And then also I came across, and there's a reason why this fire is there. And then
Mm.
I found some girls that's honeymoon marriages. These guys are married over here. They go back to India, and they go back and they get married to another girl. Okay, this is really cruel. Okay, I cannot understand how these people stand before their gods and even ask for forgiveness because there is no forgiveness here. This is
Yeah.
mean. So and they do they make those their parents. Every parent in India gives dowry. Okay, dowry is prohibited in India, but till to date, you can get married without dowry, without money, without cash, without stuff. Or they will say, okay, have the programs in big hotels, okay, because they want to show off to their people. Now who gets the brunt of it? The girl's father and mother who borrow, and sometimes they are in debt for the rest of their life, trying to get their daughter married and hoping that she's going to have a good life in the United States. And that does not happen. So with all that said, this fire was burning within me. I managed to serve three of the guys that my mother was not able to get hold of. Now, the second part of it was getting the consul generals involved. And let me tell you, our Indian consul generals are very, very supportive.
Yeah.
We have, a lot of centers, even in Delhi, in India, you can complain about it. But, there's a limit to what they can do too, because if the guys disappear. But now here, those guys could not believe how could the lawyers in India find them. And then I managed to develop someone in each state. Okay, and saying, just to join Disha Darshan, my small nonprofit, and so that's where the thought of having Disha Darshan completely actually arose. Though I had a Care India Disha Darshan in India that was mainly doing medical work. So, but when I came here, I didn't know how to get that one here. But I said, you know what, let's start with the scratch. So we started with Disha Darshan. Now, Disha means direction. And Darshan actually was my father's name. I lost my father when I was 18. So I wanted to do something for him. He was a woman's man, my father. He was a fighter pilot for the Air Force. And I think my mother would have never studied after her marriage if it wouldn't have been for my father. He just believed that women should be given education, then they get power, they get a voice and stuff like that. So I knew this would be a good dedication to my dad. And so was born Disha Darshan. And Disha Darshan is very important because now it says we are showing you the way. So most of the women who do contact us, and even if they don't, you won't believe it's become a big following even in India. Every time I fly down to India, I have so many girls, and my mother's beginning to get jealous now, is because there's a lot of girls who want to talk to me. Is because those men made them believe while they were in the United States, and told them that they don't need them anymore, or left them back in India saying, you don't have a status. That's not true. Okay, we have to fight for it. We are still working on it with the USCIS and Homeland Security, but there is one thing which irks me, and the saddest part is the guys who come on H1. I'm glad for a while they stopped this H1 and not for any other reason, okay? But they get the women with them. Now those women are H4, right? On H4 you cannot work. Now for a while they were allowed to work. I think the laws had changed, and now the laws have changed again. Yeah. But the worst part of it all, I don't care about the working part. Yeah. It's like you got a woman. So whenever any man, and I want this to be very clear, any man gets any woman to the United States of America, he has to sign with the Homeland Security that he's going to take care of her. Okay. A lot of women don't know that. And so I want to talk about that too. That's very important. A lot of people don't know that section. I had to really work on it.
I'm not aware of it. So
okay.
If any woman comes to this country, the man has to sign?
Yes, because he's marrying her, right? So now he's saying that I have a job. Anyone, like you get your parents from India, okay? You have to sign over there and say, I will be taking care of them. Tomorrow, they will not become, a burden in the state and, stuff like that, because you're bringing them here for the parents. So same way, husbands, definitely, okay? So some husbands, they cheat on it too, because they'll either get the woman on the fiancé visa, okay, and the parents really, I don't understand them, seriously, is how are you sending her on a fiancé visa? You got her legally married in India. So she comes on a fiancé visa, okay, and then I'll talk about what happens, okay. And some girls come on tourist visas because they say, hey, it's easier, come on a tourist visa, we'll get married here, and then we have the right lawyers and they'll make you legal. Now, many times that does not work, okay? Because let me tell you, Department of Homeland Security, they have psychologists, okay? When you go for these interviews and stuff, they are watching you. And many times, I don't know if somebody's seen the movie Green Card. It's an older movie, but you know what? You'll get the gist of it because, these girls have not married these men for green cards. They got legally married in India. They called all their family members. They had people and things. Now those men get them here. Now, if they like them, they keep them. When they don't like them, I always tell the guys, this is not a product you bought from Costco that you have to say, okay, I don't like her, I want to give her back. You can't do that. And those men say, okay, we don't want her. So guess what they do? They start destroying all the cards and stuff, all her important paper documents from India and stuff. Now the woman, and then obviously the Homeland Security is asking her, you came here on a fiancé visa, you came here on a tourist visa. And the guys, I have seen some men even lie and say, oh, I was never married to her. Oh, she just came. Okay, whatever. I decided, okay, we are fiance, girlfriend, boyfriend. We were just living together. We decided not to, whatever. So that takes a lot of work for me. Okay. And this story, I really would like to share about one story, okay, which is so legal, and I hope that girl is hearing me, because now she's so successful. Now here was this girl, okay, who came from India. She got, it's a doctor family, okay. They had an only son. They went down to India and they cherry picked this bride, this sweet girl, okay, 90 pounds, really cute girl. They married her in India. They brought her here, and they had a big reception. This is very important to hear this, and there's a reason why I'm mentioning all this.
Yeah.
Okay. And they had a big reception. Now the guy somehow, okay, and the guy the parents bought a house for the guy, obviously, so he was living with the girl, and the parents had their own house. Now he didn't like the girl for some reason. She was too thin for him, or whatever it may be. But he had the choice when he went to India. I mean, there was no forcing, but once you're married, you need to keep her, right? For whatever reason, whatever happened, he then decided that, what, if he keeps her in the home, now he has to give money, right? If he wants to get rid of her. So he decided a better thing. He told her, this house belongs to my parents, so let's go to an apartment where we both can live together happily. And she, being the Indian bride, okay, she had a PhD in, I cannot believe it, in social sciences and stuff. And but women are brought up like that in India. Is the husband is your god or whatever. She went with him to the apartment. Okay, he took the apartment in the worst possible place. Okay, now she didn't know that because she doesn't know America. She's new in this country. She's a new immigrant. So he took her there, and whatever, he stayed with her for 4 days. After 4 days, the fifth or sixth day, he just vanished. And the poor woman was like, first she waited for him. She kept calling him. He wouldn't answer, nothing. Now, whatever food was there got over within 2-3 days. Now she didn't know what to do. Her next option was to walk to some mandir somewhere. She kept finding out some church or somewhere, and she somehow subsisted herself. Then I found her is I had gone to Sunnyvale temple, I think for some kind of prayer. I think it was Durga prayer. And the saddest part is that I find is that in our temples, we pray to the goddesses, okay? We Indians, okay? Men and women. I need to say men. We pray to the goddesses. You want Durga to bless you when you are troubling Durga? I don't think so. So I found this woman. There was some woman crying outside, and I don't know, for some reason, I think there's this Shivji or something. I went there to put some water and stuff, and I heard somebody sobbing. And I am a very curious woman. What can I say? I'm very a lot of my friends tease me and say, why do you happen to find those women? Why can't we find them? It's like, I don't know. Whatever. I walked up to her and said, hey, are you okay? What's going on? I thought maybe she needs some medicine. She's got some pain, something. I can help her. I always have stuff in my car. And then she cried, and then she told me her story, and I was like, okay, get into my car. Let's go find out where is your apartment. So we went to her apartment. It was the horriblest place that I have ever seen. I'm not saying that the place where Latinos live is bad, but it was the poor section of Sunnyvale. I mean, it was so bad and drab. And I'm like, okay. And then she even shared with me that he's taken away her degrees and everything is gone. No pictures, nothing. So I told her, and then the apartment people said, hey, you only have till the end of the month, and then you need to go. So now she doesn't know where he lives. She was so silly. She didn't know where his address was. She only knew the name of his parents and stuff. I'm like, okay, so being a doctor, let me call up his parents. So I did call up his parents, and they said, hey, we have nothing to do with her. We don't know anything. Talk to our son. Okay, give me the number of the son. So they didn't give me the name of the son, but then this girl remembered where he worked at. And I have my ways, because I have done a lot of health camps for a lot of computer companies, right from Johnson & Johnson, you name it. So I knew that company. I called up one of the main people there, and we found out who this guy was. Okay. They did call him and stuff, and he said, no, I don't want her, whatever problems. And he just didn't want to do anything. So I thought, first, let me settle this girl down. And I got her from that apartment. It's like, you can't stay here. You're coming with me. That same evening, she was coming with me home. She was going to be staying there. And then we got around and got her stuff out. I got her some storage space. So whatever stuff there was in that apartment, because we have to empty it. I helped her even clean it because, hey, she needs to, because otherwise, she'll be, and he was so bad, he put her on that lease. So somehow I settled it, whatever I could. And then now here was this educated girl on my hands, and now we needed to deal with this matter. And then I asked her, and we found out, who all came, where did she have the reception, what happened and stuff. And you're not going to believe believe the photographer, she didn't know the name of the photographer. I called up the photographer and he said, oh no, I don't have the pictures, and whatever pictures I had, I gave it to her parents and they don't want her to have anything of those pictures or something like that. So gradually, slowly, I found out who were the people who came for that reception. Because somebody will, because if we walk up to Homeland Security and say, hey, this girl, how are we going to help her even stay in the United States?
Yeah.
And it was such an effort, let me tell you. And then I had all my friends. I had doctor friends, lawyer friends, I have private investigator friends, I have all kinds of friends. All people I help with allergies, problems, whatever. It's like, okay, it's time to call them up. Then I had this friend who was a private investigator, and he told me, all right, fine, let's walk up to the photographer's house. So we went to the photographer's house, we threatened him, and then because I had found out by then, I was doing my investigation, is that he is on political asylum. Okay, great. Let's threaten him a little bit and say, hey, do you want us to report to the authorities of what you're doing? You're actually doing this job. So do you want to give the pictures or you don't? And he decided to give us the pictures. So now we had the pictures with us.
Okay.
Thanks to my friend, the investigator, because he was tall and lanky, and he even had that looking gun-like thing, and that guy got really scared. Okay. All right. So we got the pictures now. Do you know all the people that I talked to? Okay, and said, hey, you all must have got the card, right, from this doctor family. But the parents were, because at that time I was a smaller doctor, not as so big according to them. These are these two allopathic doctors, they work for Kaiser, they are important. And they started calling up all the friends and saying, don't give her the card, don't give any information, don't say anything. And so I had to go to a lot of people, call a lot of people up and say, hey guys, you came for the reception. All I want you to is write 2 words and say, we went for the reception for this girl with this guy. They refused. A lot of people refused, and that made me very, very sad, because here are Indians, okay, and because her parents happened to be wiser. And so it was such a fight. And then I told you, because by then I had my law degree in hand, I put on my lawyer hat and said, you know what, this is wartime. I tried nicely, sweetly with the parents, with the boy. It's like, okay, we got them to the point where the girl got half the proceeds of the house. We got a lot of things done for her. She's now successful. She's working. I don't want to take her name because she's working very well. I sometimes tease her and say, hi, I hope you're not making more money than me. It's just a joke. But she's doing very well. She managed to get her parents here, and she is one happy camper. And guess what? Another of my patients who was having a problem, he was a divorcee. He met her outside my clinic, and they both are married, and they have 2 lovely babies. One of the kids is called Rini. Thanks for, I don't know, I think in my appreciation of me helping her. Okay, so I'm very, very happy for her. So this is, sometimes stories happen, but not for every woman. Not for every woman. It's because, and I'm not saying just because you knock my door, it will happen, but you have to work very hard on it, very hard.
So I also wanted to ask you, Rini, before we wrap up, you said so many things, that is it just the women who needs your help, or you're out there to help anybody who comes and knock at your door?
That's very interesting, Isha, that you say that, because when I started my journey, it was only women, okay? Only women, and women, okay? And then I had this, like I said, I had this episode where I went to one of the temples one day, and then I was beginning to hear, okay, in India it was happening. A lot of men were getting abused by women. Some women would take advantage of the 498A and all the laws and all that. So every time I went back to India, a lot of men would approach me, but they thought, okay, I was a woman's lawyer. I didn't want to really help the men, kind of thing. And that's not true. That's not true. I mean, and then I'm telling you, is once that I like to go to the temple because I need some spiritual peace, after I hear all this sadness in the world. As a doctor, I hear a lot of it. And then this legal field is worse, okay? You hear even more stuff. So I remember there were 2 guys who were following me around, and I thought, oh my God, today I'm really looking good. I mean, why are these guys following me around? Because I go to eat God and say hello and kind of thing. And they were following me when I took the prasad. And when I took the prasad, I think those 2 guys, they cornered me, when I was about to leave the temple, and they said, do you work for Disha Darshan? And I wasn't going to tell them that Disha Darshan was mine. And I said, yeah, I do. And they said, okay, can you come? We'd like to talk to you. So I was like, oh my God, these are 2 irate husbands, because I don't remember, because I've helped so many women. Maybe these are 2 irate husbands who are really mad at me for some reason. It's like, okay, I'll deal with it. So I asked one of my friends, I said, can you come with me? Because, if they beat me up, somebody can call up the police or something. Because they looked really mad. And so I walked into this room, and there were 10 other guys. So now here's 12 guys. So I had my eyebrows up. It's like, what do you guys want from me? And they said, hey, you're discriminating against us. It's like, for what? They said, Disha Darshan is only helping women. What about Indian guys? Who will help us? So I said, what kind of help do you need? So I said, okay, let me sit down and let me hear your story, because it's always nice to hear the story.
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard that story, first I really smiled, because I thought the women are really getting back at men, because those
Yeah.
women, those poor guys were working for computer companies. They would go down to India and marry some girls in 3 weeks
Yeah.
without knowing what's going on. Get the girl here, and the girl says, oh, can I go back to my parents in India? It's the custom. And they would say, oh, sure. And then she claimed she would come back. But many of those girls, once they were there, would file dowry cases against these guys and get their parents and sisters and brothers arrested, because for 98 it worked like that, and for dowry and stuff. And then this guy had to fly back, and then as soon as he reached India and went to his house, he was arrested too. Now she would go visit him in the jail and say, hey, I want you to pay so much money to my parents, 1 or 2 crore rupees or whatever, if you want all of you guys out, because I won't take the case back. Now that poor guy has to come back to his job. He's got a nice plush job in the United States. He'd call up his friends in the United States and say, guys, can you transfer all this money and just give it to her, or whatever. So this was like not a nice picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
But
it's not women, it's men who also face these kind of situation, and you're ready to help anybody.
absolutely. But I do want to say, even now, okay, for every one man who's abused like that, there are 10 women out there who are abused as well, because women give birth to babies. Okay, to them that baby matters, is part of their blood. Okay, it's part of their thing, and for that they will do any kind of compromise. They will do anything that they need to, so that they give up on their spousal support. They give up on a lot of things. And the saddest part is giving birth to a girl child in the United States. People in India, they look at me like in shock. It's like, because India has moved on, but the people who came here many years ago and stuff, they still have the thinking. I had people who come to me, that's why whenever I give a talk on homeopathy, and when I'm talking about women's problems and stuff, I do mention, yes, we have homeopathic remedies to get a boy, but I'm not going to give it, because if my mother would have had it, there would be no Rini. Okay, and we have medicines for twins and stuff, but that's for people who don't get a child, or people who are they already have a girl child, and they love that girl child, and they're hoping to add something to the family. That's a different story, but that's not how it happens. They have six girls and they want a boy. So even when I'm practicing my homeopathy, I see people asking me for that. Do you think my son can get a son, boy? And the boy thing is so important. I've never heard anyone coming to me and saying, do you think you can give me something so my children can get a girl child? No way.
Yeah, that's just a sad picture still which exists. Rini, I wanted to ask you also that how can like we as people can come and help out Disha Darshan, or if there's anybody listening or watching this right now who wants to come and contact you, if they are victimized, like if they are domestic violence victim, or just in general, if someone wants to contact you, how can they do that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, I'll let you do the honors of mentioning my phone number, unless you want me to say it. Yes, and my website is also there, dishadarshan.com. There's a reason why I did dishadarshan.com, is because the ORG, people get lost in it, and some people are telling me, I mean, it didn't matter, when I made the website, is people don't go to the website. They just want help. They'll call you. So I want them to call me. I would love to help them, and I have lots of partners too. So it's like, if they call me, it's not that, the stories that I told you, that was the younger part, the younger days of Disha Darshan. Now we have a lot of partners. People are there to help you, and there are very nice people also in the Bay Area who would go out of their way and help you. Some of our girls are kept given rent for free for 2-3 months, and are given free food also. They added, because you have to just find the right people matching, because you remember, she's come in a new country, and most of our girls are highly educated. Okay, and I think what you guys are doing really, you are being our voice. It's not only for Disha Darshan, or for any other nonprofit is working for the benefit of women. You are our voice, because this voice is going through to women who are suffering in those homes. They are hearing us. The saddest part is that I think we're talking a lot of English. Maybe if we went a little bit more Hindi or Punjabi or something like that, is because the ones who suffer the most are the ones who absolutely have no voice. Because even if they want to talk about it, they can't, because they are not able to express themselves. Let me tell you, being an Indian myself, I went to a convent school, but I know when I get really excited, I sometimes start thinking in Hindi. And, when I translate it, like, what happened to my English? It happens to us. So here, us being gone to convent schools. So imagine these women, they're not able to tell you what's going on. And many times what happens, let me tell you, these men are so intelligent, okay, because they've been around, they know, and a lot of things I'm beginning to change in the United States, hopefully. One county at a time. Is what happens in this country is whoever calls the police first. Okay. Now the man and a woman are fighting in the house. Now, whoever calls the police first. Now, the woman, she's not going to call the police because he's her God. She was brought up to think that, she's married to him. Her dead body should go out of his house. What, I don't know what kind of, I think they're talking really ancient stuff. Whatever. Okay. I don't believe in that. He's not her God because you know what, like I told this one man, if you want a Sita, you first become a Ram. Okay. I mean, just what is going on here? Because people are really, really being, how would I say, there's too many atrocities. So you are the voice. Your radio goes out and people hear your stuff, and then they know that there is someone out there who will help them, someone who will not talk to her husband. Do you know, I want to tell you, Disha Darshan is not about breaking marriages. We don't want to break their marriages, not at all. I don't know what the other non-profits do, because the minute actually you call the police on your husband or your wife, okay, that relationship is gone, it's destroyed. Okay. Because I mean, I'm not saying don't call the police, don't get me wrong. I mean, don't misinterpret it. But in our culture, it's our culture, right? You have the people. So there can be a lot of good people that we can involve in the middle, and it's a mediation, and try and see if this relationship can be worked out. And sometimes there have been some girls who wound up and said, oh, he called me bad names, so I called bad names to his mother, so he slapped me. Now, she does understand, okay, that, oh, no, that slap is, he never slapped her for the rest of the marriage. It happened today, okay? So one slap here and there, because you were wrong too. I'm not saying that he was right in slapping. I'm not saying that. But if you still love him, if he loves you, and he will apologize and will never happen again, we can get them together. And that's where we differ. Because mediation, that's what I learned in America. In India, we didn't have mediation. I took a lot of mediation back with me in India. And I have a lot of lawyers, young lawyers working with me who want to do mediation, because let me tell you, relationships can be brought together. You don't want to destroy it, because let's say, okay, great, now we'll have a lot of divorced people walking around. Now, are they going to find another partner better? Could be worse. Okay. So that's not true. But if the relationship is really truly bad, he's beating you every day, he's really, really super bad, then it's better to get rid of him, right? Or her, either way. So that's where I was at. And you guys really, okay, and thank you for giving this time to us, all our organizations, is, or even if you can, if somebody called you up, I'm sure people do anonymously and say, hey, I had previous consul generals call me up, from San Francisco, and say, hey, can you help this girl, whatever, and because they call up the consul general's office, they don't know where to go. But with you guys starting this, now they'll know to call Radio Zindagi and say, hey, could you help us? And then you might say, yeah, I know Rini, I know ABC, I know other people, and then they have a choice and they have an option, because hitherto they did not have that.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, I'm going to give out your number. So if there's anybody who needs help, any woman, any man who are definitely facing domestic violence, call Disha Darshan. You can call Rini. Her number is 510-677-4691. And if you're watching us right now, you can comment us below and we can give you all the information provided. Thank you so much, Rini. I wish I had more time to ask you something.
I know.
Most important one was to how to reach out to you, and thank you for helping so many especially women out, because the situation really sucks and they don't know where to go. So thank you.
Last but not the least, I want to say, in the pandemic, I had thought that hopefully people staying at home, things would improve, but that's not true. It has quadrupled, and domestic violence has quadrupled. And so all I would appeal to people is, like, we are not there to break your marriage. We are there. Maybe if we can enter into the picture and make the man or the woman realize, especially the men, there are a lot of strict laws, and I don't want the women to go back. There are ways to get the visas, and we have immense amount of pro bono lawyers, immigrant lawyers, who will go ahead and show you the way of how you can stay in this country. You don't have to leave.
Thank you so much. That gives hope to a lot of people, a lot of women especially. Thank you so much for talking to us and taking out this time. And you can also go and visit dishadarshan.com, listeners. Thank you, Rini. I'll catch you next time.
Thank you, Isha. Bye bye.
And you guys stay tuned. Keep listening to Radio Zindagi. Jai Jaan.